Let's talk about an overused, underutilized word, empathy. Now, 10 years ago, I was actually showing Brené Brown videos to workshop attendees to explain the difference between sympathy and empathy. But now, that's no longer the requirement. Everybody understands what that means. Everybody knows to say it's to put myself in the shoes of somebody else. So far, so good. Why then, despite the term having so much popular imagination, are we also this polarized? Why can't we put ourselves in the shoes of, say, a family member with different political opinions, or somebody from a generation that, always talks about going barefoot to school? I can offer one possible reason why we do that, why we short circuit whenever there is an opportunity to empathize. It's easy to say put yourself in the shoes of somebody else, but what we end up doing, I think, is we get stuck in the weeds of looking at their circumstances or their behavior and not going a layer deeper and looking at underlying motivations and underlying emotions. Let me give you a couple of examples. Say I'm Gen X and I have a Gen Z team member who, after 2 months of work, says, I want to leave because I'm not feeling challenged enough and my commute is too long, and my parents are saying find something closer home that genuinely challenges you. Now, I want to empathize, but I don't know what it's like to be in the shoes of somebody who's in their early 20s, whose parents are saying go ahead, take time off without a plan ahead. I don't know what that means. Or say in a situation where I have a very tall, muscly male friend who has hurt their ankle and cannot, like they like to, for the next month or so, hike alone in the forest and camp over there. I am barely 5 feet tall, conditioned not to even go into center of town at 9 p.m. I don't know what it feels like to be in the very large shoes of this friend of mine. So at this point, we tend to say, what does she have to crib about? She's an entitled Gen Z with parents who support her. Or he's a very tall man and, he's big and strong and has no reason to feel sorry for himself. He can't do something for a month that half of our population can't imagine in a lifetime. Yeah? What have we done? We've effectively ended our empathy efforts right there. I'm looking at their circumstances, I'm looking at their behavior and not at the underlying emotions or their motivations. Pause at this point and look at this useful chart. So this chart talks about the roles that we take up depending on where in the spectrum of empathy versus judgment that we fall. I've also linked details with the folks who've created this scale. Now, doing this allows us to explore the emotional landscape. Is this person worried about the long commute and its effect on their health? Are they worried about the uncertainty of, say, an upcoming performance conversation? So I might not know what it feels like to be them, but I do understand worry and I do understand the fear of uncertainty. That's the place at which I connect to them. That's the bridge through to empathy. When I stop judging them for all the privileges that they either have that I currently don't have or I didn't have at their stage of life, I'm actually opening up space to look at their emotional landscape. And their emotional landscape might be laid out differently from mine, but it's got the same constituent elements. It's got the same sky, birds, fruits, trees, mountains. It just looks different because it's theirs. That way I can empathize with, say, a 15-year-old who is excitedly consuming manosphere content, right? Or a person from a small village who's in their 80s and who's sending WhatsApp forwards about 7-headed snakes. Yeah. Empathy is a learned trait. It's something that we have the hardware for. For example, there are mirror neurons that allow us to empathize. But like everything else, and I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record here, but it's one of those things that gets better with effort and practice. It also allows us to evaluate, am I over-indexing or under-indexing on empathy? And both are problematic. We'll talk about the over-indexing another time, but for now, if I under-index, there's a couple of questions I can ask myself to be on my way to thinking about it differently. The first is, am I operating from past data about this person, group, or circumstances, or am I operating from biases that are formed because of earlier data, or am I operating from what they just said right now or just did right now in this circumstance. And the second is, am I asking them questions to open up this conversation? Or am I asking them the kind of questions or making the kind of statements that will close the conversation quickly because I'm not feeling comfortable? Right? And asking both of these allows you to be well on your way to increasing your empathy quotient. Which of these spoke to you the most that you maybe want to try and change? Let me know.